So the mandatory picture of all the bikes outside the hotel, but this is a little bit different because this is the launch of Husqvarna's new Norden 901, and we are in the Azores. Two-day test, on-road and off-road. It's going to be pretty extreme, pretty gnarly, apparently, in true Husqvarna style. And this new Norden sits between the KTM 890 Adventure and the Adventure R. So it's not as extreme as the 890 Adventure R. So the suspension travel is a little less, the seat height is a little less, but it's one step above the standard 890. So it's kind of more off-road bias, but not extreme. I hope that makes sense. Styling is obviously very unique to this model. I personally like the styling. Everything on this bike is standard aside from the Akrapovic end can. The tyres that come with the Pirellis, they're standard. The fog lights are standard, the handguards, everything you see on the model is standard. I'll show you the dash. We've got multiple rider modes. The Explorer is an optional extra, and the Explorer mode allows you to play with the throttle and slip adjuster and ABS and traction, where the other modes are a bit more limited. But I'll run you through more of that later on. We've got 2 days of testing, on-road and off-road. This island, from what I've seen, is absolutely stunning. I think it's a good looking bike. Personally, I think it's good looking. It's slightly heavier than the 890, the fuel tank is slightly smaller, but we've got cornering ABS, we've got cornering traction control, and the quick shifter also. So let's get kitted up. So this is day 2. We are literally on top of a volcano. Over there is the Atlantic, down that amazing drop off. Over there is the route that we're going to take across that massive ridge. You can see it all the way up there. And in there is basically the crater of a volcano. Woo! And that's the route we just took, that's over there. So we're going right across that ridge. I didn't realise the drop off was so big. And yeah, not a bad day. So just to prove every day isn't sunshine, cocktails and hotels, we are in the Azores with Husqvarna to test the new Norden 901, and it is absolutely sideways rage. But this is what it is. It's an adventure bike. This is what we're supposed to do. We're on the terrain that the bike is made for, in the conditions the bike is made for. We're currently in the wet mode, which puts the cornering ABS and the cornering traction upwards. Once we head down some of these trails, we'll obviously go into the off-road mode that disables the ABS from the rear. You've got conventional ABS on the front and changes the power delivery. So we're just coming to the end of 2 days riding Husqvarna's new Norden here in the Azores. What a place to ride a motorcycle, as you can tell by the footage. We've done everything you could possibly imagine. Wet, rain, fog, gravel, sand, mud, high speed, loads of grip, big lean, to cobbles with green moss and horribleness. And the Husqvarna has done everything that I've asked of it. Obviously they're impressed with their new model, obviously because they've given us 2 days of testing and given us some real horrendous conditions to ride in. The rider aids are superb. On the wet, horrible cobbles, the cornering ABS, the cornering traction control saved me on so many times. Reduce the rider aids, have some fun. It'll pop the front wheel up at will in the first few gears. Sounds really good. The quick shifter is superb. That is an optional Acrobic end can, which is probably worth a few extra bucks because it does sound good. We've also got an optional rider mode, because we have as standard the rain, the street and off-road, but now we've also got the Explorer mode. That lets you tailor the rider modes to how you want to ride in the conditions. Off-road, this bike sits between the KTM 890 and the 890R, so the seat height, it's not as extreme as the 890R. The seat height is a little lower, there's not as much travel in the suspension. Ground clearance is 220, which is more than enough for about 80 to 90% of people who are going to ride off-road. I'm not a Dakar rider, but I'm just your average Joe, and I thoroughly enjoyed this bike off-road. I can't see why I'd want any more power or any more rider aids. The off-road ABS works exceptionally well on the front, and the off-road traction control allows the rear to slip quite considerably, so maybe inexperienced riders want a little bit more control. On the road, it's a lot comfier than I anticipated, because usually an off-road bike has got a thin, hard seat to reduce the seat height. But for me, I can touch the floor reasonably comfortably. There hasn't been a moment where I was wobbling thinking I was going to lose control. Looks and styling wise is all personal. I personally like it. The fog lights are standard, this is all standard, the handguards are standard. It comes on these Pirelli tyres as standard. Overall, an exceptionally good bike. As I say, we have done everything. I can't remember the last time I did a bike launch where I rode in so many mixed conditions in such a short amount of time. It has been a true test of this new Norden 901, and it has come back almost faultless. The brakes for me are a little bit wooden. I'd like a little bit more bite. I'd like a little bit more engine braking when you're on steep descents, off-road and in rain mode. The dash is lovely, intuitive and easy to use, but sometimes it's difficult to tell if it's the gear position or the traction control position. But I'm really nitpicking to find a fault with this bike. Okay, so hope you enjoyed the review, hope you enjoyed the test. Please subscribe, leave your comments, and I'll try and get back to you. Yeah, it's been a tough one.